What's up, everybody? It's Man of Low Moral Fiber here. My name's Luke, and in this video we're going to be taking a second look at the Godfinger as a part of my Does It Suck series. The Godfinger is a pearlescent rarity Jacob sniper rifle, and like many other weapons, it received a significant buff as a part of the community patch, which is why we're taking another look at the weapon. We're looking here at the unpatched version of the gun, and you can see that it has a fire rate of 0.6 and a base damage of 556,000. This weapon is a bolt-action gun, and you can see that between every round, Zero has to actuate the bolt action there to cycle the next round. Probably the reason for its exceptionally slow fire rate. This weapon also has a very low base damage when compared to other overpower level 8 Jacob sniper rifles. If we compare it to a Calipine here, which is a weapon with the same barrel, we can see that the damage is significantly lower. And being a bolt action instead of a semi-automatic, the fire rate is very, very low as well in comparison. And there are weapons that have a higher base damage than the Calipine. If we go look at a Muck-a-Muck, for example, you can see that the Muck-a-Muck has an even higher base damage. The Godfinger tries to make up for this by having a special ability that allows it to deal extra damage if you are very, very far away, distance-wise, from your enemies. You can see this special effect in action when it applies multiple damage numbers upon one hit on an enemy. So we'll see if this is far enough away to get 2 damage numbers on this guy here. Doesn't really look like it. So we'll keep shooting him and see how many shots it really takes to disable both his arms and then finally kill him. You can see that the fire rate on this weapon is very, very slow. Definitely is making it take quite a while to kill this guy. Does look like it kills him in under 1 magazine there, about 10 rounds, so let's go ahead and apply the patch and see if the buffed version of the weapon is going to be any better. So in order to apply the patch, we will type, execute patch txt, and then we'll go into the game to see if the patch actually applied. We'll go to a vending machine and see if we can buy ammo in one shot. That's kind of my test to make sure that the patch is applying correctly. Already I can see that the system tray, or not system tray, but the skill tray, is showing us that we have 1 shot 1 kill activated, which would indicate that the patch is applied, and the vending machines are showing us that it's all the way applied. Now, if we're looking at this weapon right away, we can see that it has a fire rate of 3.1 now, which is actually what the Calipine has. We can also see that this weapon has a base damage matching that of the Gemstone Calipine, so this basically gets Gemstone bonuses now, so that's pretty cool. Fire rate of 3.1 and a damage of 1.2 million, this weapon is pretty damn strong. Compared to some other weapons that are Jacob sniper rifles, it probably still has a lower base damage than the Muck-a-Muck and probably the Skull Masher as well. So we'll see how this weapon does, and we'll see if we're able to ever see in this map the special effect activating where we get multiple damage numbers to pop up. So let's shoot this guy here. You can see that at this distance there are multiple damage numbers popping up, and it is killing him a lot quicker as well. So 5 rounds compared to 10 rounds, that's pretty much what we'd expect when a weapon got almost twice as much damage, or over twice as much damage really. We'll start slagging and kunaiing these guys. Does look like it got multiple damage on that very far back. I think that was an R loader. It might have been a junk loader. Either way, you can see that that's about the distance you need to be for this special effect to activate. This is not a very good special effect. You will not be able to use this special effect in very many situations, but at least the weapon doesn't suck now. I can say that right away because I saw the base damage and the fire rate basically. The special effect of this weapon is still pretty hard to use, and so I couldn't really justify using this weapon over a Muck-a-Muck or a Skull Masher if you're looking to use a semi-automatic Jacobs, but at least it doesn't suck now. This weapon was very strange to me when it first came out because it was one of the very last weapons released in the game, assuming I'm remembering the chronological order of Borderlands 2 releases correctly. This came out as the 2nd generation of pearlescent weapons, which were the very, very last weapons to ever be released. And when it was one of the worst weapons in the game, I can tell you that that was pretty disappointing. We'll go forward here and begin to kill some more enemies. If the special effect activated at a lower distance, I would think this weapon would be one of the better Jacob sniper rifles, but because the special effect is so very difficult to use, I don't know. I probably would still recommend using a Muck-a-Muck or a Skull Masher instead of this weapon, but it's probably potentially the third best Jacob sniper rifle now, which is pretty good. Not very bad, at least. And I would say that this weapon definitely doesn't suck. We'll see if in this map, which is actually one of the very few maps where I think enemies actually spawn far enough away for you to get the bonus damage, that maybe it will perform pretty well against some of those enemies where we see the multiple damage numbers pop up. We'll probably definitely see that best against Hurley and those super badass loaders who spawn so far away. So you can see that there were multiple damage numbers on that second shot there. Not on that shot, though. So you do have to be pretty far away. We did get multiple on that one. So I'm not exactly sure. It seems to be a little bit inconsistent. Perhaps that's one of the reasons why the special effect isn't all that good, because it's so inconsistent. But just the base fire rate and damage of this weapon alone are making it perform pretty well. With the special effect, it's obviously an added bonus on a select few enemies. It's not a special effect that you get very often, though, so I don't know. The weapon definitely doesn't suck, but it is not game-changing. This weapon is not overbuffed by any particular stretch of the imagination, and I would say it's pretty fun to use now. I like the looks of it. The purple and pink looks pretty cool, but I would probably still use a Skull Masher over it given the choice, or a Muck-a-Muck for that matter. Regardless, the weapon is strong. It's going to get one-hits on enemies when you have slag and deception and stuff, so that's pretty nice there. Obviously, we have a very high amount of critical ascension. Critical ascension got a boost in the community patch as well, so even if this weapon didn't get a huge base damage and fire rate increase, the fire rate increase is the biggest thing. It got over 5 times the fire rate that it used to have, and it got over double the base damage, I think, as well. So you would expect this weapon to basically have 10 times the DPS that it had prior to the community patch, which is pretty crazy. We'll finish that guy off and we'll move forward here. Maybe the special effect isn't as hard to use as I'm making it out to be. There are a couple maps where I think you could definitely use it. The fridge is big enough to use it on some rats, even though rats are obviously hard to hit in the head at times because they're so very mobile, but you know, it's okay. I guess this isn't, maybe it was. You saw the 2 damage numbers there. That doesn't look like we're far enough away from either of these dudes at this point in order to get the special bonus. We'll keep trying, though. This guy might blow us up. No, we were just far enough away, so that's good. Most combat in Borderlands 2 happens at close to medium range, and so that's not where this weapon excels, but it does okay. Against an enemy that's as far away as that junk loader, I would expect to see multiple damage numbers. Perhaps I'm confused about how the special effect of this weapon truly does work. Got multiple damage numbers on that guy. Now we're getting multiple on this guy as well, so perhaps that's about the distance you need to be away for this weapon to truly work its magic. But you can see, obviously, the weapon doesn't suck at this point. It is ripping through these dudes pretty easily. I want to stand on this box, but for whatever reason I was having trouble with that. Killed a hot loader there. Multiple damage numbers on that guy would indicate that, yeah, sometimes this weapon is definitely applying its special effect, which is probably a nifty special effect. I'm not sure exactly how much damage it adds, but it's a strong weapon now. I don't think it's as strong as other sniper rifles, but it's definitely not one of the worst unique sniper rifles in the game anymore. Prior to this, it was only other Jacob sniper rifles that competed with this weapon for the crown of worst unique sniper rifle. It was, you know, between this, probably the Cobra, the Buffalo, and the Elephant Gun were all pretty abysmal. And this, I mean, was probably the worst out of those. The Trespasser did very, very low damage as well, but obviously the Trespasser had a special effect that was very, very valuable. Got a 1-hit on Pervy there, so that's pretty cool. We'll go see if he dropped a bad touch for us. You can see that at this distance, did get 2 damage numbers on him, so who knows what the exact distance away you have to be for this weapon to really start being beneficial is, but I would say that it definitely does not suck at this point. This weapon received probably about the right amount of love, you know. It does as much damage as a... Oh, he did drop the bad touch. It does as much damage as a Calipine, which you would imagine that it would because it has the dull barrel. And it does as much damage as the best version of the Calipine, which is the gemstone version. So, pretty interesting there. Definitely received a significant boost in damage. Being that we have 75 or around 75 stacks of critical ascension when we're going to be engaging these badass loaders, I would expect it to tear through these guys pretty quickly as well. Being that that guy is both above us and really far away, I would say that he is definitely a good enemy to maybe get the special effect on, but he jumped down a little bit quicker than I wanted him to. Finish off that guy there and see if we can't get some health back before this guy kills us. Alright, so you can see that it's definitely working through these badasses pretty quickly. Now, Hurley is an enemy that we should definitely be able to get the special effect of this weapon on. He stands way the hell back there by his garage door, and we can stand way the hell back here where we were. So, hopefully we get a bunch of damage with our huge amount of critical ascension on this guy, and take him out in just a very few shots. Another area where this weapon can actually get its special effect working for it is from the top of the train station in Lynchwood. That's where I took this weapon to test it before making this video. So you can see how many damage numbers popped up when we were shooting him from this far back. And so when you're shooting an enemy from this far back, perhaps this is the optimal sniper rifle in a very few amount of situations. But like I said, most combat doesn't happen at that range, and so you're going to want to definitely use a different sniper rifle when you're at medium to close range, because a Muck-a-Muck or a Skull Masher or a, Malawan Snider, a bunch of those weapons are going to outperform this weapon. A Volcano against flesh enemies, so who knows, this weapon's okay, but it's definitely not a top tier weapon. Well, in certain situations, I guess it is going to be top tier, but those situations are few and far between. I don't know. I would pick a weapon that's a little bit more consistent than the Godfinger, but the Godfinger definitely does not suck at this point. This weapon is quite powerful, just based on the base damage and fire rate that it has, even ignoring the special effect. The special effect is obviously only a benefit, but it's a little bit of a rare benefit. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weapon in Lynchwood, because that's just one of the areas where I can imagine that it would work. Like I said, Lynchwood, the fridge, certain areas of Washburn Refinery. There are definitely some areas where you can make this weapon work. I'm unsure where Lynchwood is exactly. It should be right next to the dust. Should be... You would think it would be right next to the dust because you ride that little train to it, but whatever, I'll scroll down and we'll find that it's over here. Weird. That's not where I would have put it on the map. Regardless, we're here now. Maybe the train from the dust is really far away, and this is the proper place for it to be. We'll head upstairs after buying some grenades and a little bit more ammo, and see if we can pick off any of the bandits here to really see its special effect working with 0 critical ascension. Or at least a lower amount of critical ascension than we were using against Hurley, which was quite a bit. Now, these marshals that spawn near this bank are really, really low health enemies. We can see an enemy here. Let's see, he's probably far enough away that we'll definitely get that special bonus. Same with this midget. You can see that there were multiple damage numbers and it one hit him. One hit him without slag or anything, so that's pretty good. This guy's way down here. And we did get 2 damage numbers on him, so the vertical distance definitely helps as well. It's not just distance on the x-axis that seems to help you. It combines x and y-axis damage, or distance, to contribute to your damage, so that's pretty cool. And you can see, or maybe that's X and Z. I'm not exactly sure which plots or which axis you would plot that on. Probably Z. Z, X, and Y. However far away you are from him, it's definitely going to help this weapon deal a little bit more damage. And so you can see those multiple damage numbers popping up. So that's actually a time where this weapon is maybe the optimal weapon to use. These marshals are really, really low health. You can see that, assuming I can hit a critical hit on him, that those guys just get eviscerated. I don't know what it is about these guys, but they have like less health than a normal nomad by a wide margin too. They have like a quarter of the health that a normal nomad has. I'm not exactly sure why they made those enemies so weak. But you can see while I'm standing up here, the game's not going to spawn too many more enemies. We've killed them all at this point, and so we would need to go down here in order to get more enemies to spawn, and obviously by doing that, we then lose the bonus of the Godfinger. Or maybe not. That guy had multiple damages there, so maybe the special effect isn't as bad as I'm making it out to be. It sure seems bad at times, but here it's working out well for us, so I don't know. There are maps where the special effect will work, and there are maps where the special effect, will not work because the map just doesn't allow for it. However, this weapon definitely does not suck anymore, and that's a huge improvement over what it was in the pre-patched version of the game because, like I said, this was one of the very last weapons to be released, and you wouldn't expect a weapon that was released so late in Borderlands 2's life cycle to suck so bad. But this one definitely did. It says there's another enemy way far back there. I'm wondering where he is, actually. Maybe he just got run over by the train because I no longer see his red dot. Oh, he's back there. Wow, that guy's so far away. Oh, and it still didn't smoke him. Weird. Or maybe it did. I'm not entirely certain. Regardless, this weapon is definitely decent now. It's not as good as some other weapons might be. It's not as consistent as I would say the Muck-a-Muck would be. If we had the Muck-a-Muck here, I would favor the Muck-a-Muck every time over the Godfinger because you're going to get that extra base damage. You do lose a little bit of fire rate. You're going to get that extra base damage every time and not just when you're super far away from the enemies. But regarding does it suck? No, the Godfinger definitely no longer sucks. The Godfinger probably got just about the right boost to where it's no longer a trash tier weapon, but it's not a must-need. It doesn't obsolete all other weapons. There are definitely reasons to use this weapon now, and there are reasons to use other weapons than this weapon as well. So I think the Godfinger is in a very, very good place now. So again, big props to all the guys who made the changes for the community patch. This is definitely an excellent change. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you haven't yet taken the time to subscribe, please do so. Otherwise, I do hope to catch you next time. Bye, guys.